Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec, and it's early in the morning, and I'm going to indulge in a little bit of sweet cereal that my mother would never let me have as a child. Luckily, the cereal companies are kind of marketing to us older people that didn't get to have this when they were kids and brought it back. So I'm going to pour a little bit of cereal and tell you about our project today. So a lot of you might remember I did a video on the Fluval Edge 6-gallon. And I did it for a coworker of mine. He wanted a new tank, and I said, well, I'd be happy to set it up for you to show my viewers what it's like to set up a Fluval Edge. But it's not been doing too well. There's a lot of algae issues. It's has this kind of like this fluffy bloom of algae right on top of where the Anubis are. The Anubis grow really, really slow. So if you put them under a lot of light, all you're going to do is create a ton of algae. Now, I thought the lights would probably be really strong there, but I didn't anticipate it being quite this strong. He did switch out from the halogens to the LED lights, and they're really, really bright. So what I'm going to do is take a plant that does really well under bright light, and I'm going to stick it under the light and rearrange some of the plants. I'm going to do a rescue on this Fluval Edge 6-gallon and see if we can rescape it and make it what it needs to be. The Vesuvius sword has done tremendously well on my Fluval Edge, or my Fluval 5-gallon spec. So I'm going to take clippings from that and I'm going to insert them into the 6-gallon. So after I finish my cereal, I'm going to go to work and see if I can rearrange some plants and make it look nice again.
Hey, can I have some?
No, it'll rot your teeth.
Tell me, Grandma.
Well, like any project with the Fluval Edge, it starts with draining a little bit of the water out. I actually got a question asking how hard this was, and the truth is it's just fine. You just have to have the appropriate size hose. And once the water was drained, I got the log out. It was a little harder than I think it ought to be, but I eventually found the direction that I put it in, and I was able to pull it out. I did the best I could to just pull all the algae off. That hairy algae like that, it gets on the plants, and a lot of times you'll end up, especially on the Anubis, ripping the plant apart just trying to get it off. So I took the most affected leaves and I just kind of plucked them out. And I got as much of it off the log as I could. That stuff was just everywhere. It was really a pain in the butt to get it off. It was even around the edge of the opening there, but I took a razor knife and I scraped it out of there too. Then I plucked the other plant out, which wasn't really even nearly as affected. The Java fern, I clipped that. As you can see, this Anubis is just completely covered, so even a good leaf like this I'll have to remove just to make sure it's all gone. Then I got the log and I put it back in. I had to maneuver it quite a bit before I found another position that wasn't under the light. It's a little large for this tank, and but I did find a position I thought was kind of neat. I think it adds a little bit of perspective to it. It sort of gives it a completely different view from one side also, and a nice place for the fish to hide. After scraping the rocks off, I had plenty of algae on there too, so I scraped them down really good and replaced them back in the aquarium as well to try and make an area for that centerpiece that I'm about to add. Then I shoved the Java fern back in the opposite corner that was in. It was doing okay in there anyway. I put it in the opposite corner and kind of checked out the light. I then proceeded to add the Vesuvius sword, which is notoriously bad as far as for planting. I mean, it is really, really hard to plant. So what I did to help myself out is just added a few rocks. These are runners, so I just placed a rock along the runner and shoved them into the dirt the best I could. I tried to get the clippings that had a little bit of root coming out of them, so the roots will quickly form and hopefully it'll flourish and do really well in there, but I guess time will only tell on that. And this is what I came up with. It's a really simple aquascape again. I've got the plants that love light right under the light where they like it. And it should be really interesting. I love the difference in textures that you can get with things like the Vesuvius sword or those curlicues, and then the Wendetti in the back. And here's the finished product.
Thought I taught you better.